So good to have Reverend Mitch Austin back on the podcast. He's been on multiple times. I feel like he's been on twice, and this was our third, but I'm not positive. But he is one of our earliest guests, and he always brings it. He's such a shining light in the world. He's got so much knowledge and so much grace, and the way he speaks about his transgender journey and just opens up his heart to help those. I just love to have him on our show, and in my life, very grateful for him.
He's an amazing individual. And I just want to say, if you are feeling like you're stuck in the muck or you're spinning around in this chaos right now and you feel like you can't get out of it, listen to this episode. Mitch will bring you out of it and share some ways that you can start to see a little bit of sunshine.
The world is a lot right now. Are you feeling it? We all need new tools to help us walk through the chaos with grace, ease, and compassion for each other and for ourselves. In this podcast, you'll hear from parents, educators, and other experts who can bring perspective to the monumental job of parenting. It's time to level up and be warriors for our kids and our communities. This is the Warrior Parent Podcast. I'm Marci Mitchell.
And I'm Debbie DiManno. As parents, we understand that it really does take a village to raise our kids. We hope that this podcast serves to create and support that community for you. Join us as we discuss and practice our core tools, which are proven mind-body techniques that can be used by anyone to improve your life on a daily basis.
Welcome to the Warrior Parent Podcast, and it's April. Year's just flying right along, and we are really excited today to have a good friend, someone who's been on the podcast before, our good friend, Reverend Mitch Austin. And Reverend Mitch is an interfaith minister, a licensed religious science certified practitioner through the Center for Spiritual Living. He is the spiritual director for the Sierra CSL, which is Center for Spiritual Living. And he's best known for his vibrant speaking ability, his audience engagement, creative, witty teaching style. And I can attest to all of that because I've been in his classes and he's fantastic. And I also heard him speak many times at my own spiritual center. He's the creator of the popular Taming Your Inner Critic workshop and the transformative Rise and Speak experience. And I've done both of those, and they are transformative and wonderful experiences. Reverend Mitch is passionate about helping people overcome obstacles in life and live a life that they love. And we love that. So welcome, Reverend Mitch. So good to have you here.
Thank you. Thrilled to be here again. And I love the good work that you're doing in the world.
Well, we're doing our best during these chaotic times. And that is our theme for today, is how to find peace in this world of chaos right now. So this episode with Mitch is dropping in April. However, today we are filming this on the 20th of March, which is the spring equinox, actually, right? It's first day of spring.
Right.
Yes.
But it is also the International Day of Happiness. So it feels appropriate to have Mitch here because he's always got that big smile on his face and he looks exceptionally happy today. So we're excited to do this. On that note of chaos, however, some downer news is that the United States of America is rated number 24th in happiness, down from about 11th. In case you thought we were just making this chaos thing up, there's some truth in that. And by the way, in case you wanted to know, Finland is number one on the happiness scale. So yes, we might have to make a little
social democracy. How interesting. That's all we'll say about that.
Don't get her started. All right. So today we're going to talk about how to find some peace, some balance, and some happiness. And Mitch, with that, I'm going to let you share some of your tips and tricks for finding some peace in this crazy times.
Yeah. Yes, we have lots of opportunities, or what I will call problemtunities. My new word, opportunity. Problem
Which always has the names. He always comes up with the greatest terms. Problemtunities. Thank you for that.
Many problemtunities right now. Opportunities that first show up as problems or challenges.
Yeah.
And a big part of what I teach is, working with our thoughts. Right? The thoughts that come up in reaction to things. So it's not so much in life, from my perspective, what happens to us, but it's our thoughts about what happens. And that's really our locus of control. That's really where we can go to for our peace. And there's many wonderful ways to kind of tame the splashiness of the mind, its reaction. It does something I call fear casting, where it takes a fact, it applies some logic and projects into the future what's happening right now and what that will mean. The trouble is, we don't know what the future is going to hold. And a big part of what it's going to hold is what we decide it's going to be. And that's, again, where we bring back our power to the inside, right? That we are a force that does have an impact on our environment. So what are we thinking? What are we believing about the future? Because as Ford, the maker of many cars, said, if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah, thoughts are things. Thoughts are big things.
So good. This is such good content. And this is, we shared that Mitch is a New Thought minister or with the Center for Spiritual Living, but this idea of New Thought, this is exactly what Mitch is kind of talking about. If you're interested and you want to look more into that, how we are creating our lives in every instant that we're here, and we get to choose. We get to, as we say all the time, respond rather than react to what's going on out there.
And that doesn't mean you bypass your feelings, right?
Exactly.
Your feelings are there to be felt. And there's a time to be sad and there's a time to be happy. The difference is whether you're going to live there or not. And that's really when the harm comes to our bodies, to our thoughts and stories that we spin about reality. They're there to help us remember our humanity and that something needs our attention.
Yes.
Boy, true.
Emotional intelligence. This is what we're all about.
I was finding some quotes for today. There's one from the Dalai Lama. It says, happiness is not ready-made. It comes from your actions, which is just what we were just talking about, right? Like, so it's what you're going to do with these emotions. It's what you're going to do when you're feeling like you're stuck in the chaos and you don't know what to do. So maybe try to find just one little action, maybe one random act of kindness that you could do for the day. And maybe just that one little thing can pull you out of it. And imagine what it's going to do for someone else, right? That ripple effect.
Yeah.
Right. The only way to multiply happiness is divide it. Offer it away. I've heard that as a quote too. And I find that to be true. And big part of why I dedicated my life to service is it provided me more of a intrinsic reward than money or status ever could.
Absolutely.
To be there with people in their time of need is such a wonderful opportunity and honor. To support people in that way. And a big part of what I do too, just for your audience's edification, is that I'm a transgender man, which means I was born in a female body and transitioned my gender about 15 years ago, almost 15 years ago, to male. And at a time when transgender issues really weren't talked about, and many people don't know much about it, which was, of course, a benefit and a drawback. Both ways. And I do offer myself as a resource to people if they have questions, if they're struggling. I speak with a lot of grandparents who are having their grandchildren transitioning to different gender or non-binary and not really sure how to feel about that. And there's a lot of emotions that come up and a lot of worry and a lot of questions. And I think it's important to get educated so that when we have understanding, that understanding can lead to the peace that we're looking for.
Yes.
That's right. I like to say you're a trailblazer in that way. And then also, I love just what you said. You're here to show up and help people. And I know personally you've helped me. I have, as I've said many times on the show, I have a transgender son. And at the time that he was really coming to a greater understanding of this, you were there. You offered your help to him. To me, he was looking at having his top surgery, having surgery to remove his breasts essentially, so that he could have a flat chest, which is more in alignment with who he feels as himself. And so that's a scary thing for a parent to know that there's going to be surgery, their child's going to go through surgery. And so you really helped me with that. And so that I could be more there for him, which is my job as a parent. And that's what I want my job to be on the planet too. So that's such a lovely service that you offer, taking this very unique place where you are and being able to share that. Really grateful for that.
I feel like the basis is what you said, Mitch. It's really just about education and people just flat out not understanding. And, you know, bravo to these older folks, these grandparents who are coming with an open mind and an open heart because they have these family members who are going through this, right? They could have chosen to not participate, to not understand, to push it away, to push that human away, but they are not. Like that's a big deal, like all by itself. I think.
Huge.
Well, and I think the biggest barrier to us connecting is some people believe understanding equals agreement. And it doesn't. And I tell people oftentimes, in fact, I told them on my stage a couple weekends ago that I disclosed to the membership that I'm transgender. And I said, and you don't have to agree with my decision. You don't. And I don't hold you in any kind of judgment for that. I just ask that you recognize my right to make that decision and my humanity and support my humanity. I think when you start dehumanizing people for whatever reason, political affiliation, right? Lifestyle choices, religion, whatever it is.
Immigration status.
Immigration
all the
status,
things.
socioeconomic status. We begin to negate people's humanity. And that is a sovereign right. We all have to breathe the air. We all have to sustain our bodies. We all need connection and communities where we can be seen and supported. Those are all basic human needs if you're in a physical body. And the minute we start dictating that for other people, we negate their humanity and their right to life and to live it fully as they see it.
And once you negate someone's humanity, now you've made it okay to do all kinds of horrible things that you would never do if you were in your values, if you were really looking at values. But if you've turned someone into a non-human, or you've decided that they don't, because of this, because of whatever the this is, fill in the blank, they don't matter anymore. Now you've made it okay to behave outside of your own values. And that is what's worse than that for you,
right?
You know,
we reduce people down to a label, you know, and I am an uncle, I'm a partner, I'm somebody's friend. You know, I was
my friend,
child, you know, so
you're a minister, you're a teacher, you're a shining light on the planet, and anyone who knows you is just grateful for you in their life. So why would you ever care about that? That's the other piece. Why would you want to get into someone else's business that way and try to say, this is who you need to be, because that's what I think, versus let me be who I want to be, and let you show up as your beautiful self and your light on the planet. And now we're all just lighting the world together.
When we threaten people's worldview or paradigm, it can feel very scary. It can feel scary. When my worldview and paradigm gets threatened, it feels scary. Right. So I do understand that some people with very conservative views around gender and expression and all that, they have a worldview, they have a paradigm, and they don't always know what that means to them in their lives. And so I understand that can feel scary or painful to meet a transgender person, and to feel like you don't know how to be in this social interaction, or even if you want to call me by a male pronoun. In fact, sometimes I offer up to people who might feel uncomfortable about that, I say, just use my name, right? So it's really more about building bridges. We're never going to force people to believe something. We don't want to be forced to believe something, and we don't want other people to have that force feeding. It has to be a conversation and a gentle moving of the needle, being willing to meet people where they're at and have the difficult conversations and maybe agree to disagree. I think we've lost that capacity. and yet still be able to see each other's humanity. That's what I love about Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They couldn't be more opposite on social issues and laws, yet they still could find common ground.
So this is a big overarching question, and we'd probably need about 5 hours with this, but how did we get here? How did we get here? Like I felt like, you know, like Marci and I we call ourselves the OGs here, so we've been around a little while, but we feel like in our lifetime we've made such progress, like, especially, you know, for us, we're walking in women's shoes, so we know what we have gone through ourselves and we can relate to that. And you know, I'm not a transgender person. Marci has a transgender son, so she understands that piece of it. But just from my perspective, like, I just wonder, how the hell did we get here? How could we have swung so far in the opposite direction?
Well, you know, all of evolution, all of upward pull is a ebb and flow process. It always is. It always has been. And there was a time when other people were on the microscope, right? There was a time in our nation's history when it was the Italians and the Irish.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So every marginalized group gets their day on the stage of discussion and integration. And that discussion and integration is a push-pull. I mean, look at the birth of a baby. That is not a fun process. There's a lot going on. There's pain, there's stretching, there's pulling, there's breathing, there's, is
screaming.
this ever going to happen? Much of what happens when we start to get to higher ground is that kind of ebb, discussion, and integration. So to me, it's part of the evolutionary process, not the part that most people enjoy.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not always a fun time. It's a challenging time right now.
Yeah.
Especially for trans people, for immigrants, for lots of people, as you say, marginalized communities who are feeling targeted and not safe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, we just wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about something very exciting that Debbie and I and our team have been working on for literally years. And that is our Cour Tools app, which is now available at the Google Play Store and at the Apple Store. And you can sign up for it now and you will get access to all the tools we've been talking about on the podcast.
And if you're an early adopter of Cour Tools, you can get a VIP price for $49 for a lifetime. That's
lifetime.
That's
Buy it once and we'll keep updating it too.
Yes. So we're super excited about this. Go to Apple Store, go to Google Play, and purchase it now.
Cour Tools, COUR, capital TOOLS.
Go get it.
And what will come out the other end is greatly dependent upon how committed we are to living our values.
Absolutely.
And if we're not committed to living our values, then those that would like to dictate the narrative without your input will.
Right.
You know, it's almost like you can program yourself or you can have the world program you. Which would you like?
Yes.
Which one do you want?
Debbie and I have been talking about values a lot because this is what these times call me to is what are people's values? How are people making some of the choices they're making? And I don't know that they are consciously looking at their values. And so that's where I really do encourage that if you stop and you really look at what are your values? Why do you think you came to planet Earth right now? Like, why are you here? What's yours to do? And let some of the nonsense and, you know, all the talking heads and this is that, and they're the bad. And it's all this, you know, there's always this opportunity to blame it on someone. And it's always a marginalized group. So quieting all that and saying, what are my values and how do I want to show up on the planet, and just get intentional and also aware. Because if you're not aware, then you're out there, you're part of the problem instead of being part of the solution, which is always an opportunity.
Well, yeah, awareness is key, but even more important than awareness, I think one of the biggest issues that comes up in our society, it's not what you don't know that will hurt you, it's what you know for sure that isn't so. There's a lot of people acting
the unlearning
things that aren't so.
Yes.
It's creating that kind of disintegration of key pillars that have kept our society strong and healthy and equitable. And that's the slide that I think we're all experiencing. So it's a call now for us to rise up and speak truth.
I think,
we all have a compass of truth within us that transcends the splashiness of the mind. When we get still, we all know the truth.
When Marci and I have had these discussions on values, which comes up almost every conversation now, I tend to think, like, I don't know that people have even stopped to think about what their values are. I didn't grow up in a family where we had a discussion around what are our values as a family. Right? It was just fighting and arguing, and we don't have money, and all the nonsense. Right? I think it wasn't until I was in probably, a few years of therapy when someone asked me what my own values were. And I had no idea. I had no idea. I just know, politically what they all talked about. I didn't have a sense of my own values and what that meant for me. And, Marci and I've even had these conversations with so many counselors now from around the world, actually. And the counselors, some of them are talking about, some families are going through divorce and blended families, and people are reestablishing what their values might be as a unit, as a family unit, in a community. And they sit down and actually write their mission and vision statement for the family. Wow, Marci and I are just minds blown, right. But wow,
what a fantastic idea.
Imagine a world like this, right? When people weren't collecting their values from the news that plays in their minds all day long. Right. I think people haven't stopped long enough to even have that thought.
Well, and many people are, we're kind of hardwired towards negativity bias for survival purposes. So, in much of the world narrative, and let's be honest, the economy thrives on telling you. I mean, just look at the insurance commercial. What is it? The one where the guy's always beat up and
the chaos.
The chaos he's talking about. We're given a lot of things to fear so that we'll buy certain things. So sadly, it's kind of built into our culture to play on that default mode that we have of fear and what's the threat, and we're much more likely to see the threat. And that's called cognitive bias. And so how do you help people wake up that they're only seeing what they believe to be true and not actually everything that's there? And I love, there's a book about unlearning. I think much of what our world needs right now is to unlearn certain things that we thought were true, or at least question them.
Ironically, that's our theme for May: unlearning and relearning. So thank you.
There you go.
Yes.
Very true. There's a guy on Instagram that I follow who does, and I follow him just because I find him so engaging. But he's in the gym, what do you call that? The people who work with you and
a fitness trainer.
Yes, they just drop out of my head. So he's a trainer, and he has this session where he'll show a move and he'll be like, unfucking learn it. Then he shows the new move. He's like, fucking learn it. And I love that because he's showing you how to do the moves right. But we need a lot of unfucking learning and some re-fucking learning in the world and in our lives. So I hear him in my head saying that. Yeah.
Well, and I love where you're going with this. The temptation is to think, oh, 15 years ago, things were so much better.
Yes.
Depending who you are. But I'm going to tell you, there are some people 15 years ago, it wasn't better. We just didn't know. We just didn't know. About some of the silent suffering and the hiding and the lack of resources and things like that. So there's a lot from the shadows that are coming forward. And I just want to invite people to kind of think about that. Yeah, maybe 15 years ago it was better for you.
Right.
But know that it was really not good for a lot of people that maybe are very different from you. So that was a lesson I had to learn and be mindful of about that.
And then let's just whitewash whatever did happen, let's pretend that shit never happened, right? So we can just
Look,
move forward.
A lot of that
right?
going on right now.
Right.
And the other piece is, and we all know and love Reverend Sherry Wynn, who we've had on this on our program before on our podcast. But I love to bring up what she talks about, which is something bigger is unfolding. A better way is unfolding. Old paradigms are dying out. We are unfucking learning some stuff.
Yeah.
And those paradigms don't want to die out. And so they're fighting and they're making a big fuss. They're making it painful, which is what happens. You know, nobody wants to everybody wants to hold on to their ego stuff. And so when it's falling apart, it's painful, and something better is unfolding. And if we can remember that, it can help us stay out of the fear mindset and into the something better's coming, and what's mine to do right now, and how can I show up as part of the good, of part of unfoldment and kindness and helping each other, and not be part of the craziness and the fear and the unkindness and the judgment and all of that other stuff that I personally know I don't want anything to do with.
Yeah, you know, part of me just wants to crawl under a rock.
Yes.
But I also realize that the rock, somebody might step on it, right? So it's really important that we bring our peace to places that aren't peaceful.
That's right.
That we we allow ourselves to be seen, and our humanity to be seen in places where people have differing opinions.
And you're very good at that, Mitch.
And when we run away from it, when we isolate, when we hermitage ourselves from it, we allow that now to grow in its ignorance and its power in our collective experience.
And that's like hiding your light under the bushel, right?
Exactly. I love that. Yeah, that's a great analogy of it. And that being said, you know, we're kind of all cells in a body called humanity.
Yes, we are.
And we all affect each other. And if we are not in balance, if we are not in harmony in our physical bodies, we call it dis-ease or disease. And the same is true for the body of humanity. And that's why it's critical that we rise up with our light, our healing, our love, our connection.
And the other thing I want to say about that, and I think it's especially important right now, and especially in a lot of these marginalized communities, trans community, a lot of these communities, that you still get to take care of yourself. You get to have this self-care. And we're doing something at the Amani Center now called Staying Grounded During the Chaos. And we're doing a support group. In fact, we did it this morning. We meet at 11:11 on Thursdays, and we have a chance to share. And it was something people were asking for. They were like, I don't know what's happening. I'm scared. I'm chaotic. And so we remind ourselves, but there's one individual who I think you both know, who's just a lovely woman in her mid-80s, who is talking about not doing enough and how she's not this. And everyone is sharing what a light she is, just what you were saying. Her light shines, and she's going through all these medical challenges, but she always shows up like, I'm not ready to go and I want to be part of the solution. And she just inspires people all around her. So you don't always know how you're affecting others, but so not to be in too much judgment, be able to care for yourself. And that's something that it needs to be okay for her right now to take care of her body temple, so that she can continue to show up as a light on the world. And so that might mean, and another person was saying, the other day I had to just stay home and light a fire and read a book. And that's okay too. You got to take care of yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup.
No, you can't. And we're better together. We're better together. We can share our hope and our strength and our vision. When we gather, we're meant to be gathering social people. And I know there's still people who want to just hide in their homes. And what happens is, when we don't get in groups that are inspiring and loving and hopeful, our mind keeps spinning stories, and there's nothing to break the narrative.
That is very true.
And then
stuck in a cycle.
Its own kind of vortex of suffering. That doesn't need to happen. I mean, imagine if this 80-year-old woman had just stayed at home. She'd just still keep thinking, I have nothing to offer. This is behind me. Why am I here? But she gets into a group that can give her another perspective, that can give her another aspect or a better narrative or truth. Think about and embody. And I think that's part of the power of healthy communities, whatever they are, whether they're hiking groups or churches or spiritual community, whatever they are.
That's the other piece of what's so important right now, is building community.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. You still can have your time. You need your quiet time. You need your home time. You need your rest. You got to drink the water. You got to eat the good food. And building community is phenomenal. I was just saying to Debbie, I've said it to a few people this week, the community I've built at this stage of my life, in this place, we've lived a lot of different places, is fantastic. And I'm so grateful for it. And it makes all the difference in my life.
Communities are interesting because they're like families, which means they also have challenges. So when you try to bring people who are people-y, we're all different,
super
into
people-y
a group, sometimes, the opportunity is, ooh, look, new people, things to learn. But the shadow side is sometimes there's an oops or an ouch that happens.
Yeah.
And we tend to just take our toys and go home. But a healthy community will have the discussion and have rupture repair, so that those oops and ouches can be opportunities, right? Opportunities to learn and see each other and have more authentic community.
Yes.
Because unauthentic community just serves the perpetuating surface level life that people.
That's it. And ain't
don't.
nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
It's time to be authentic. It's time to be real. And yes, we're all, so we get to show up, we get to make mistakes, we get to call each other out, we get to say, hey, you know what, that kind of felt not so great. And then have a discussion like that's real. That's not just
in my community, I teach the fall method, which is if you have a problem, oops and ouch, it's an acronym. First, try to fix it. See if you can go fix it with the person. If you feel you can't fix it, ask yourself, can you accept it? Can you just accept it? I don't really need it. And if you do, then you accept it and you move on. You don't get to keep hanging on to it.
Yeah.
Or the third letter L is, can you love something about the person or the community or the situation that makes it small? It makes it small. And the last is to leave it, because nobody wants to be in a relationship or a community where somebody is so unhappy and can't fix it, accept it, or love it. Maybe it's time to go somewhere else. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with
That's
boundaries.
what I teach in my community as a way to handle any issues or problem.
I love that.
So mindful, so intentional. Yeah.
So community, connection, and conversation, communication, right? Like those three things alone will get us down the road a little while for sure.
So much more. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And then remembering each other's humanity. That's one of my favorites. Like you mentioned today, like we are all connected. We are all one. We are all human beings doing our best. And if we can just see that we're not the enemy, we're part of ourselves. We're all connected. Brothers, sisters, siblings on this planet doing our best. Everyone's doing their best.
As we close, which I never want to do with Mitch, I just want to kind of love on him all day. He just makes me so happy. I wanted to share a quote from Sherry Wynn today. This came up on a social media post where people were in the midst of some chaos. And of course, she pulled everyone out of it.
She's good at that.
Oh my goodness. So I wanted to share this because this is completely apropos for the discussion we're having today. So Sherry Wynn, if you're listening, here you go. Love is love. Judgment and debate are futile. It just works at building division and fear. Fear is full of behaviors that harm life. Kindness and compassion are higher modes of being human. Seems learning how to be at peace with ourselves and unwind all the misinformation in our own selves is worthwhile. Inclusivity seems a natural element of nature. I'm just looking for ways to be at peace with what is. I like what Mother Teresa said when she asked if she would fight for peace. She said she would not fight for peace. She would be peace. I choose that.
Yay.
So
shout out to Reverend Sherry.
Yes.
And to Reverend Mitch. We are surrounded by some giants of showing up as our best selves. And that's what we need. We need people that we need our gurus. We need our lights that we can turn to and learn from. So thank you for showing up that way. Really appreciate you.
Grateful to be here and grateful to see your work and how it's blossoming, and just honored to be a part of it. So thank you.
Yes, you're one of our original we're coming up on our, actually it's it's next week, I think. Is that right? Oh, no, it's in May. In May is our 100th episode. So that's coming up. And Reverend Mitch was one of our early episodes. And, I don't want to forget to let you share your website so that people want to work with you or find out more or have you come and speak, which I highly recommend. They can find you. So share that with us, Reverend Mitch.
Oh, absolutely. So not only do I lead a spiritual community, but I do have my own business called Speak, Teach, Inspire. I do a lot of soft skill trainings, particularly for nonprofits and public agencies. I also am a keynote speaker, and I also do a lot of strategic planning of organizations. And you can reach me through that website, and would love to. And if you want to know what your top inner critic types are, get on my website. There's a little quiz. Take it. It's free. It's fun. And hopefully it'll help you in your journey.
Yeah. Wonderful. We're going to put that in the show notes too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Reverend Mitch.
Thank you.
Keep shining that light.
Hey, warrior moms. As we started this podcast, we had determined that part of what we were going to do is to create a community. So we have decided to take it to another level, and we have started our own Facebook community in addition to the Warrior Parent Podcast, and it's called
From Chaos to Calm, a Sanctuary for Moms. Here's what it looks like. It's on Facebook right now. Please go and join it. And just to let you know, we're going to create our Blue Sky accounts right now. We're getting prepared as we watch this weird stuff go on in America. So we may be shifting the whole group to Blue Sky. Just be aware that we got you. You're going to start here. If this turns out to be not a safe place anymore on Facebook, then we will shift over. But what we're creating is a safe space where moms can show up and get information, get support, talk to each other about the things you're going through with your kids, the things you went through with your kids, maybe get some advice from moms, but also other experts. We're going to invite all of our guests and experts to join the group. I hope you will too. This is a place where you can show up and be seen and be heard and be safe. Mom's got you.
Nobody trusts anyone more than moms. So let's do this.
And now for your core mental health break. This is your opportunity to take a moment to support your mental wellness, your peace of mind, your own ease and grace. Take some time every day to support your mental health. You deserve it, and it matters.
Today we're going to journal, and here is your journaling prompt. If I could go anywhere in the world, I would go. Take a few moments, journal about where you would go, feel it, create it, really think about what would serve you and uplift you. If I could go anywhere in the world, I would go. Enjoy your journaling.
Thanks for listening to the Warrior Parent Podcast, which is a production of our nonprofit, Cour Experience, who also creates and distributes Cour tools. You can find us at courexperience.org. Make sure you join us next week for another informative conversation to help you and your family show up mindfully, purposefully, and joyfully with each other and in your community.
Our Cour Tools platform consists of a number of proven tools and techniques that are designed to reduce stress, anxiety, and overwhelm in spite of what's going on in your world. We want to thank Samuel Hale, LLC, for sponsoring this podcast. Technical and marketing support comes from Inspire Your Brand. Our podcast editor is Justin Beeden. Opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts, the producers, or the financial supporters. I'm Debbie DiManno.
And I'm Marci Mitchell. Thanks for listening. If you resonate with the idea of creating a community to help support kids and families, won't you join us by following the podcast and sharing this episode? You can even write a review. It truly does take a village, and we appreciate you.